How's that angle?
Okay, ready?
Don't look. You don't have to look at
You
it.
guys look really good.
Yeah, you guys should try and look everywhere. Ready?
Hell yeah.
Yes.
All right, everyone.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our weekly Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube Live. I'm Liana. Today I'm joined by Nick, and we're going to be talking about what else but Amber Heard and Johnny Depp. A lot has been happening since last week. A lot has happened this morning, yesterday, and Monday. So please let us know if you have any questions, anything that you'd like us to discuss in the comments on either of the platforms. And let's get started. So I think it was yesterday where a bunch of the expert witnesses came on to testify, and I thought it was just fascinating because Johnny Depp's team was just discrediting almost every single one of the experts that testified on behalf of Amber Heard. But then today we had the TMZ bombshell, we had Kate Moss, and everyone was waiting for Miss Kate Moss to testify, and she did. So did you catch those 3 minutes that she was on?
I caught some highlights, I guess. I didn't watch it. No, I saw that she was testifying from Zoom. I saw that she testified that he, in fact, never pushed her down the stairs in Jamaica. That's what I got.
Right. So she actually said there was a storm or it was raining, and so the stairs were slippery. She slipped, she fell, and Johnny Depp ran to her aid. He helped her and got her medical attention. So almost a direct contradiction to what has been put out there by our wonderful Amber Heard.
Now, wait, can we stop for a second?
Yes.
How did we get to Kate Moss in the first place? I'm sorry, everyone. I'm not following as closely as the rest of the world is, but let me hear how we get to Kate Moss.
So, excuse me. So Amber Heard was on the stand, and she was testifying, saying something along the lines, I don't want to obviously give it an exact quote, but she said that her sister and Johnny Depp were in an argument, heated argument, at the top of the stairs. And so she was scared that Johnny was going to push her sister down the stairs. And her exact quote was, all I could think about was Kate Moss and stairs. And so she opened the door for Kate Moss to now come in and testify, right? Because Kate Moss was never a witness. She was never supposed to be on. But because Amber Heard said so or brought her name up on the stand, she opened the door for her to be able to come in. And Johnny Depp's team, of course, used that opportunity to bring her on as a witness. And she, even though she was on via video for only like 3 or 4 minutes, but she completely debunked the claim and the statements that had been made to the press in the past that Johnny Depp had pushed her down the stairs.
Kelly said, did you see Johnny smile when he saw her?
Absolutely, I did. So does that answer
Okay,
your
that
question?
answered my question. Where was she coming from? Where was Kate Moss?
Sorry,
I won't spend too much time on Kate Moss.
What do you mean?
Like,
She was like
where was she
she
on the other side of the Zoom?
She was in London.
Okay.
She was in London, so she couldn't appear in person, which, by the way, I wanted to note that a lot of Amber Heard's witnesses, if not almost all of them, have been via pre-recorded depositions or video Zoom calls. Meanwhile, Johnny Depp's were almost all exclusively in person, which I think is very interesting.
That's traditionally a legal misstep, right? Don't videotaped depositions and testimony sort of tend to bore a jury.
Yeah, I mean, even us, right, as lawyers, when you're watching this thing, you kind of zone out. It's really hard to follow along versus when you have a live person on the stand. There's the dialogue back and forth is a lot more fast paced, and I think it's a lot more engaging. So I don't know if that was a strategic step. If it was, I think that's poor lawyering. If it wasn't, also, I want to say that a lot of the witnesses for Amber Heard, for example, her best friend, her husband, the best friend's husband, are no longer associated with her. So these were pre-recorded deposition testimonies that they.
Oh, no longer associated with her? Like they've gotten in a fight?
Yeah. So we actually have a question on Instagram from Legal Guru. Do you think the attorneys have had any settlement discussions during these proceedings?
So a lot of people are actually asking, if Amber wins, does she get $100 million? I think there's confusion about, who's going to win how much money.
So let me address this question. Do you want to take it? Do you think there were settlement negotiations?
Yeah, there absolutely were. There always are. Now, I don't know how far they went. It sounds like, from what I've heard, not very far whatsoever, and they may have stopped right at the beginning. But there are inevitably settlement discussions at some point along the line.
See, I don't think so.
You don't I mean,
and
there's a
here's why,
mandatory
here's why.
settlement conference. They have to at least
during
try.
the perhaps before, but I don't think there were settlement negotiations, which actually happens sometimes, like Nick said. The reason why I don't think there were any is because I said this from day one. I think that Johnny Depp's team is doing this as a PR move. This is a brilliant way to get his story out there. That's very powerful, and he's gotten almost the entire world backing him. And so I don't think at any point in time he tried to settle. Maybe his attorneys obviously engaged in negotiations.
Right. He always saw it as the ultimate goal being the trial in front of the world.
So I don't think he ever initiated or had any interest in settling without his story being told. So
lots of TikTok comments.
Yes.
That Photoshop witness was the Ace Ventura, Ray Finkel moment I have been dying for. The guy on the left, look, he looks like Ryan Reynolds. What up, Leanna? Did Tmz say who gave the video?
Sorry, I'm also following along with the Instagram.
I know you said earlier it's most likely taken by Heard. I mean, well, what's the point of view of the video? Is it inside the apartment or could it be taken from a window?
It's Amber Heard's point of view.
It's Amber Heard's point of view,
so
and my understanding is that there was a link, a Dropbox link with that video, and TMZ cannot use that video unless TMZ took it or the owner of the video submitted it. So read between the lines.
Because it's like classic intellectual property law, like who owns,
exactly. So Legal Guru actually agrees with me. I don't think so either, at least nothing meaningful in terms of the settlements. And then also this person is saying much better approach to have witnesses in person because of the body language, which, yeah, I agree. Sorry, was there another question?
It was her iPad that took it. And then on the stand, the TMZ employee explained more so about like how copyright works at TMZ and how they get footage.
So what I thought was actually really interesting is that he actually got a little lippy with Amber Heard's attorney. I'm assuming you haven't caught that.
Johnny Depp?
No, the TMZ employee. Give me the name.
Yeah, actually I did watch that
Tremaine.
part. I watched a few, like 2 minutes, and that was the 2 minutes I watched. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, he was really likable and credible. I like that guy.
Yeah. And so for those of you who maybe haven't seen it, Amber Heard's attorney Elaine tried to make it as though he's trying to get his 15 minutes of fame by testifying, because keep in mind, he actually voluntarily testified. He wasn't subpoenaed and forced to testify. And so when she asked him that question, he said he was absolutely not seeking for 15 minutes of fame. And as a matter of fact, he said that the same could be said about Elaine for representing Amber Heard to begin with. So I thought that was really funny. And honestly, that was, for me, in par with this entire like media circus that has been happening around this trial. What are your thoughts?
Which part in particular?
Just his testimony, his stance, his quippiness.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing that he volunteered to testify. He was not summoned there by a subpoena or anything. I believe he no longer works for TMZ, which would make a lot of sense because TMZ is obviously well known for not voluntarily participating in these sorts of things. The whole ordeal with the protective order and the privilege, the journalistic privilege being his rather than TMZ's itself. It's interesting stuff.
And he waived that too. So let's
right. He
that.
waived that. It was his privilege to waive, not TMZ's to waive, which is why their protective order was denied.
Right.
Now, again, I only watched him for like 2 minutes. I thought he was super cool. I thought he was credible. I don't even know. I didn't even watch the direct examination, so I don't even know what he basically told them, but I thought he was credible.
Yeah. No, I thought he was credible also. And then again, just to clarify for all of you who are trying to figure out the law as we kind of go along, the privilege, as Nick mentioned, was held by him. And the reason that motion was quashed in court is because, as the judge mentioned to the attorneys, that the cases that they brought on to support TMZ were basically not in par with the trial, because in those cases the journalists were forced to testify, so they were subpoenaed. They had no other choice. In this situation, he actually wanted to testify on his own. He voluntarily waived that privilege, which makes what he says admissible, and that motion was stricken down.
So do you think his testimony is going to help JD's case?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I do think that. He basically testified that he got a tip to show up to the courthouse where Amber Heard was going to file for the TRO, and she was basically posing with the side of the alleged bruising for photos. And so I think that, again, is in direct contradiction to what she said, so in her initial deposition, she said that TMZ had been tipped. And then on the stand, she said TMZ had not been notified. And then he came in and then he...
We do have one question following that.
Yes.
He didn't reveal the source, but can he still be sued by TMZ?
Yeah, probably. He probably violated an NDA with his contract with them, but
yeah, it's going to
probably,
be dependent on what the contract that he has with them. I would imagine that, there's some kind of a clause in there that holds them liable. Otherwise, all former employees would be running around and giving away, their sources and other confidential information. But for whatever reason, he chose to testify anyway. And I think it's going to be very helpful to Johnny Depp's case.
Carla said, please react to Kate Moss's testimony. How do you think she did?
we did earlier, but
we have new viewers coming in every
oh,
second.
got it.
We have about 500 viewers on, so
On
thank
TikTok,
you.
yeah.
Please follow us.
Thank you.
on-
Please follow us for constant new videos, explanations. Nima Rahmani, president of West Coast Trial Lawyers, former federal prosecutor, and current commentator on the legal Johnny Depp's case as we kind of go along. And so he posts a lot of posts a lot of videos explaining and recapping a lot of the events that transpire every single day. So please follow us and you'll get more info. And he also goes live around 4:00 every day. So if you have any questions specific to him, feel free to tune in. As far as Kate Moss, I think she did fantastically well. Again, I think it was just a 3-minute. They really got to the meat and gravy of the matter, and that was whether or not she was pushed down the stairs. And she clarified that she absolutely was not. She simply fell because the stairs were slippery. So I think she did great. I think she's credible. She looked, very. She was stunning. But I think she did well. Yeah, we love Kate Moss. So, any other questions from TikTok?
Did you guys watch, by any chance, the forensic testimony at all?
The accounting, the forensic accountant?
Yes.
Digital forensic.
Yes.
I did not.
So they're saying, what do you think about it?
Okay, so I thought initially for me, the experts that came in to testify on behalf of Amber Heard, initially my thoughts were, wow, this is not looking too good. But the more I listened to him, especially to Miss Arnold, when she was talking about comparing Amber Heard's trajectory and her career, I thought, okay, this is going south, because she was making claims without really explaining her methodology. And she was making comparisons between Amber Heard and other actors who I just don't think were in the same league. So to give you some context, I forget her name, but Miss Arnold, she came on and she basically said that she was trying to testify to the damages portion of Amber Heard's counterclaim. And so she said that because of Johnny Depp's defamatory statements and because of this trial, she's lost a lot of work opportunities. She compared Amber Heard to Jason Momoa.
How so?
There's more.
Okay.
Zendaya and Gal Gadot. And she said those are all actors in the same league. And so she also said that, Jason Momoa was able to negotiate a $15 million contract for Aquaman 2. And he only made like $3 million for the first one. And so she's claiming that Amber Heard similarly could have negotiated a higher contract. My issue with that was, number one, Jason Momoa is Aquaman. And he basically carried the movie. Let's be real, it wasn't great, but he was fantastic. And Amber Heard had a very minor part in it to begin with. I don't think a lot of the critics and a lot of the viewers didn't really like her chemistry with him anyway. And so the rebuttal witness, fact checkers, give me the name, the executive at Warner Brothers, he actually came on and testified that the reason that Amber Heard did not make the money that they're claiming she could have made was not because of this suit, was in fact because there was no chemistry. And so the studio had to do what they have to do, movie magic, as he called it, to make the movie better and to...
His name is Walter Hamada, president of DC
Walter
Films.
Hamada. There we go. Thank you so much.
President of DC Films.
Yes. So he basically testified that there was no chemistry, and that Warner Brothers exercised their option in the contract to basically potentially not use her in Aquaman 2. So her claims that she lost her role or her role got diminished were actually false, and this was something that the studio had chosen to do because of her acting skills.
Is there
Thank
anything?
you.
Is there anything specific Amber can do now to help her case at all? I mean, closing is on Friday. Is there anything else you can do?
Look, unfortunately, with all of these things, I think the law is still on her side. Really, if the jury believes that Johnny Depp even laid a finger on her one time, she still wins. But, and again, I've said this from day one, and I will continue to say it, I don't know if she'll really ever get another role in Hollywood again. I think Johnny Depp achieved what he wanted to achieve. I think he got the entire world to hear his story. I think this was a brilliant PR move. And so I don't know if there's anything that she can do to make herself more likable. I think every single day she testifies or simply just shows up at court, people just hate her even more. They don't like her hair. They don't like her outfits. They just don't like anything about her.
Question, is there a party that kind of feels bad or not really?
Not at
As
all. I
lawyers?
think, no, not at
Feels
all.
bad for what part?
For her.
For her or
Oh,
for him?
well, I'll be honest.
For the reputation.
Yeah, I mean, enormously. Like, you guys can all cancel me if you want. My link's in the thing.
You feel bad for her?
Well, I don't know enough of the facts to like specifically feel bad for her, but like I think about like the damage this does to female victims of domestic violence, the media spectacle that it just is blindly supporting him. When you got a judge in England who has already found that 12 of the 14 alleged pieces of violence had been supported by clear and convincing evidence. So yeah, I mean, I feel bad to a certain extent. It's part of the reason I've sort of distanced myself from it.
I see it differently because I think that she is either a pathological liar or she severely exaggerates everything. And so with that said, I think she's taking advantage of the Me Too movement, and this is actually a really bad look for female victims who are actual victims of domestic abuse and violence. So I see it the other way. I see it as this whole spectacle. If it does turn out that, I think we can all agree that she severely exaggerates, right? Because there's no footage, there's no evidence
from what I've
to
seen
support.
that happens. Yeah.
Right. And so I think this entire thing is just a bad look. And I think it's going to make it harder for victims to come forward because of this very thing.
Someone's asking how much time will each team get at closing and who goes first. So like, does closing arguments take into account? Like, I think Amber has around 2 hours left. Johnny's team, does closing arguments include that time up, or is it like a whole new?
No, so I think you're right. I think that she only has 2 hours left, and that goes towards their cases. And then in terms of their closing, Johnny Depp will go first, and then Amber Heard's team will go second, and then jury will go into deliberation, and they can take as long as they need.
And is that all happening today or tomorrow?
Closing's on Friday.
Closing is on Friday.
Got it.
So jury may go into deliberation as early as Friday afternoon. It might happen sooner, but I don't think we're going to get a verdict.
And there was
anytime soon.
a question earlier about what can Amber Heard or her attorneys do now to help her.
Yeah.
I mean, from my perspective, it sounds like her legal team really just needs to make the concise point in their closing argument that, look, the standard of evidence is very well on their side. They just need to keep it short and sweet and simple, and it's honestly theirs to lose. And it sounds like they've done a pretty good job of losing it.
Yeah.
So who knows? But,
I don't know if I would put Elaine as the party who's going to be doing the closing statements. I mean, of course, there's a bunch of other attorneys.
How many are chairing it?
I think there's 4 in total, and I don't know. The public has just been tearing down the poor woman.
Yeah, that's
I
all I
would
see. Is that she's
imagine
awful.
that the jury feels the same because they've now heard and actually sat through hours and hours and hours and weeks on weeks of this. So, in my opinion, it would be better to have somebody else do the closing, just because I feel like the public, and again, just because the jury is 12 people of our peers, I think they're going to come to a point where they're just probably tuning her out at this point. And so that's not going to be beneficial.
TikTok says Amber's team seems frustrated. Callie says, I agree with you. A bad thing for women. She's helped no one. Carla said, I feel bad for the kids that didn't receive the money that she refused to donate, like the Children's Hospital of Los Angeles.
Yeah, I mean, look, all of these, she did absolutely nothing to help herself. And we've talked about this in previous lives. I was absolutely Team Amber Heard in the beginning. And I've just, everything she said has been either, like I said, an exaggeration or a complete lie. So, you know, beginning with the fact that she believes that donation, did you hear that part? Did you listen?
Yeah, $7 million
Donation
was for legal fees instead of charity or something like that.
No, she said that in her mind, pledging $7 million and donating is synonymous. So she never.
No, I never heard that.
Okay, so she said that to her, pledging and donating is the same. And so when asked why she never donated, she said, well, I pledged to do it. And to me, that's the same. So she went on
Pretty outrageous.
James Corden. You see what I mean? So she went on a talk show and made very definitive statements that she had donated $7 million when in fact she hadn't.
Could Amber see time in jail or her sister? Perjury is always in question. We're actually going to post a TikTok video on that later this week.
So give us a follow for that. Again, follow us on West Coast Trial Lawyers TikTok. We post really multiple times a day. Is it likely that she'll go to jail? Probably not. You know, perjury is unlawful, of course, but I don't think that the criminal justice system is going to be used for something like this. So no, I don't think she'll go to jail. But again, neither of the sisters did themselves any favors by blatantly perjuring themselves on the stand.
Yeah, it sounds to me like she very blatantly did perjure herself, but I will say that people perjure themselves constantly and all the time in every hearing I've ever attended, and it is never really pursued.
Do you think Camille Vasquez is going to do the closing for Johnny's team?
I think maybe, but I think what's his name, Chu, is going to be. Oh, there he is.
Okay.
I think he's going to be doing the closing because he did the direct, and I think, I think he's gonna do it.
Okay.
I've got no opinion on that.
One question. So overall, how do you think Johnny's case is going so far, especially since he came back on stand today?
You want to take that one?
Sure.
Someone told me to shut up, basically, but you're also not very.
Look, Johnny Depp had a very, very uphill battle with the legal standard from the very beginning. And from my point of view, it sounds like his legal team and him have done as good of a job as they possibly could have to go up that steep hill. Now, with that said, the standard of evidence that he needs to meet is very high. So the odds, I don't know, are probably pretty close to 50-50 in my mind right now.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I think he has still an uphill battle in terms of, getting the verdict that he wants. I think his team has done a fantastic job, and I think he himself has done an incredible job. I mean, who knew he was that likable? I mean, as a person.
Who's eating Gilbert Grape? He's great.
He's fantastic, and he's come across as very honest and very raw, which is the complete opposite of Amber Heard. Again, I've watched this thing almost every single day, and so when you compare the two, his organic emotion compared to her forced fake tears that she wipes away when she's got none, it's just, these are things that the jury's catching on. So
I'll be honest, I didn't know Amber Heard was an actress until this trial began. I thought she was just a model.
Me too.
Yeah, and so, which is why I took such issue with, statements that she is comparable to like Gal Gadot, and so when Johnny Depp's experts came on, they completely, tore apart that testimony because look, Gal Gadot is Wonder Woman, Superwoman? No, Wonder Woman. And, Jason Momoa is Aquaman, right? So you can't compare someone like Amber Heard, who really was an unknown until she got this part, and a very small part, to people who have, multiple year contracts for these superhero films. So take that with a grain of salt.
Kelly's asking, 700 people on TikTok watching you guys right now. Kelly's asking, why is Amber Heard's team frantically writing notes, and that she wasn't doing this? They weren't doing this before. You guys are lawyers. Is this a bad sign when they're like frantically taking notes?
Yeah, I mean, if at first they're calm and not taking any notes, and halfway through a trial they start frantically writing everything down, it's a good sign that they're on their back feet and, you know, needing to step their game up.
Well, truth be told, Amber Heard's been doing that from day one, which I thought was very interesting because every time Johnny Depp takes a stand and he says even a word, she starts doodling and writing something down. And I'm always like, what are you writing? Just sit there, you know? And so between just looking at the jury and writing things down, that's just what she's been doing for weeks. So we have just a few minutes on IG Live and TikTok. We'll be right with you. Don't go anywhere. But as far as IG Live, I think that I would be unable to wrap the segment without mentioning the tragedy that happened yesterday. So I know we're all consumed with, you know, Johnny Depp, Amber Heard, Kate Moss, and all these things. But the reality of it is 18 little babies lost their lives yesterday to a senseless shooting. And I think that I can't not mention it. I want to say my heart is heavy, but it has been heavy with every single one of these shootings that keep happening. And I do want to mention them because we get consumed by these superficial
They said don't forget
media.
the
3 adults too. You know, we get consumed by these superficial media, you know, yeah, these are entertaining, these are fun, but the reality of it is that people died senselessly. And so I did want to mention them and my condolences. And the fact that we all need to take a stand, something needs to happen. We need to, you know, reach out to our lawmakers and to have them finally take a stance against these mass shootings and gun violence. What are your final thoughts?
It's an awful tragedy. They have been since they began. They are every time, and they only get worse and worse. What's even worse is that there seems to be no sort of progress or solution anywhere on the horizon. It's very defeating. I don't really have that many words on it, but
yeah, there's really nothing to say, you know, other than it's a horrific tragedy, and you know, we should all try to be more proactive in trying to get lawmakers to actually be more proactive. So with that said, Instagram Live, thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you next week, Wednesday at 1. We'll probably be discussing the verdict, hopefully. So we'll see you next week. Thank you.
Bye, guys.
TikTok did have some comments.
All right.
Guys, our viewers are not going anywhere. Don't worry.
Okay, I have to say,
we're
you
still on
three,
TikTok.
since TikTok is more, you three are very distracting.
I know,
I
guys,
lost
you
my
have to
train of thought
relax.
so many times.
You have to
Like,
relax.
I'm sorry if I sound like a complete moron.
You said
It's these
three,
three are like
not
laughing.
two.
Sorry. We
These
get excited.
three are like
burping or whatever.
laughing.
Tell them to stop.
Yeah, you guys gotta stop. It's like impossible to keep train of
Nani,
thought.
please. It's okay.
What am
Are-
I
are we
doing?
still going on
Yeah, we're still
It
going on
bounces
TikTok.
this, so you can see
So-
it on the
Well,
live.
I'm giving likes.
All right, we are on, guys.
Okay, so
The fact that this is another ongoing conversation makes me so sad. Amen to address such a tragedy. What really matters, unless this happens to lawmakers, children, no change will happen. Sadly, the day America disarms their people, invasion will be on their way. Back to, do you think this is going to end in a mistrial? Is that a possibility at all?
I don't think so. It's not as common in civil cases as it is in criminal. I would say so. I don't think so.
I haven't heard any good evidence for a mistrial,
Yeah.
so I doubt it.
Let's see. Amber looks like she's probably just doodling. Is that how you pronounce Godot? I've been doing it wrong.
Yeah,
That's
Gal Gadot.
Godot.
I thought it was Godot.
I think it's Godot.
Oh, Gadot. Okay. Whatever. She's fantastic. Please don't compare her to Amber Heard. I think
Yeah.
that is absolutely ludicrous. One other thing that I thought was interesting is that the Warner Brothers said that they lacked chemistry. And my question was, how do you lack chemistry with Jason Momoa? I mean, like that just
Amber Heard and
Amber
Momoa.
Heard, right?
Well, I didn't see Aquaman, but
So my husband and I are big
I like
superhero
Jason
buffs.
Momoa. He's
So
cool.
we've seen every single one of both DC and Marvel, and I am also a huge
Oh, wow.
fan of Jason.
And their
Momoa.
chemistry? Any chemistry or no?
Honestly, to me, she was so insignificant. And this is just really my very genuine review. After seeing the movie, I had no idea who she was. I thought she was cute, but she didn't wow me. Like, if she didn't appear in the next movie, which it sounds like she's not, I would have probably not thought about it at all. I really would.
I think I saw somewhere today that her contract for the second one is still intact, but a lot of her scenes have been cut.
Yeah.
We're just
Well, and that's what
reducing it.
Oh, I was just
Yeah.
gonna say right now we got
1.6K.
500. I think it
And,
was the drama of you.
We were
yelling
gonna
at
be
us.
tell them.
I yell at
We're
people
gonna
all the
have a lot
time.
of
So
videos.
please follow us give us a follow on
Give us a
TikTok.
follow if you like Ryan Reynolds, because everyone's saying
Yeah, you look
You
like
look
Ryan
like Ryan
Reynolds.
Thanks, guys.
But what I wanted to say is that the studio actually, what was his name again? The guy, the DC. Anyway, so he was one of the execs, and he said that her contract basically had an option for them to bring her on for the second movie, or they could have exercised another option to cut her entirely, but she still would have gotten paid.
Walter Hamada.
So basically, it sounds like they paid her. It's not like she got any damages from that. She got paid, even though her role was significantly diminished, and it sounds like it's completely cut now. And he testified that had nothing to do with this entire trial. Instead, it was her acting skills.
someone's asking Harvard Law, who is claiming to have gone to Harvard Law? It's in our bio. Our president.
It's in our bio. It's
Not
none
me.
of us.
I went to Pepperdine Law.
That's neat. I went to Whittier in Costa Mesa. But that's Nima Rahmani, president of West Coast Trial Lawyers. He does all of our TikToks. Again, give us a follow.
He'll be on later.
And he'll be on at 4 p.m.
Pacific time.
Yes. Photos
you.
were
Got a lot of
edited
people all
and a
over the country.
story.
Yeah, and look, again, I don't know if you've seen any of this, but she had testified that she had a bruise kit, which is a professional theatrical kit used to make bruises. And she also testified that what is happening?
There's 2.6K on
Okay,
this
I'm
live,
done.
so we're
I'm
just-
wrapping this up. You
No,
guys are just so
no,
bad.
no.
I'm kidding.
Great,
No,
you're
so
great.
she testified that the order in which she layered her makeup was concealer, foundation, and then her bruise kit. And she immediately said, no. And that basically shows that she put on her makeup and then she put on her fake bruises. So look, it's up to interpretation. Did that testimony help her at all? Absolutely not.
And this is in reference to the photos of alleged bruises
Of
and
her
the
bruising,
cut lip and
right.
stuff.
And so another thing that she had said is she never wears red lipstick and the reason she started wearing it was to cover the swelling and the bruising, which is also false because she has red lipstick in almost every single red carpet appearance and interview. I actually went back and watched. So, again, to me, that is someone who is just lying at every turn. And so does that mean that she's lying about the abuse? I don't know. We weren't there, but is it likely that she's not telling the truth? Yes, because she hasn't told the truth so far, in my opinion.
Can the jury award an amount less than requested?
Yes.
Yeah.
So what I think is going to happen if Johnny Depp wins, look, the reality is that Amber Heard is not worth the $50 million he's suing her for. I mean, and is he going to take the lousy $7 million that she's got? Probably not. So I think that the jury's going to, if he wins, award a much smaller amount. And what I think he's going to do is he's going to take that $7 million and probably donate it to the charities that should have received that money to begin with from his divorce settlement. So,
Yes.
yes.
Perfect.
Now, I know that a lot of the evidence in the British trial is private British laws that we don't know about, but where does that come into play here when, me from a distance read that a British magistrate at their highest court has found overwhelmingly that the Sun, the editorial's claims were correct and true. And where does that all play in here?
That's a good question.
I
I think
haven't
that's a good
followed.
NEMA question. I don't know. I know that there's a lot of different standards because that lawsuit was not directly between the two parties involved now. It was
Right, it
against
was
the
against
Sun.
the Sun, yeah.
And so I think the reason they won is because that standard was met, right? So I don't know if that automatically means that every single one of those allegations was true, but I don't know because I didn't follow that case.
Got it. Yeah. Everything I've seen from that judge's sort of order, it just says that the civil standard has been met.
Right.
Now,
And
to
so I
us, that
think-
would mean, well, the civil standard means, preponderance of the evidence or clear and convincing, but it just says civil standard there.
Right. So I don't know
if
what
that
the
means
civil
really,
standard there is, but again, I think that the civil standard was met as to the Sun. Keep in mind, for all of those watching, this is a suit directly between Amber Heard and Johnny
Can you
Depp.
guys also explain why Amber Heard will not go to jail after this trial? Everyone thinks that she's going to go to jail.
So
For perjury?
Well, I mean, first of all, this is a civil trial. Jail is only a consequence of a of criminal charges. They're just two different universes of the legal world, the criminal and the civil. Jail is just not one of them. Now, you mentioned perjury earlier.
Yeah, what should be charged
perjuring
for?
is a crime. But I said this earlier, but the truth is people perjure themselves all the time. Every deposition I take, someone's perjuring themselves multiple times. And then the other truth is, nonetheless, it's just never really pursued by anybody. Nobody who goes to jail for perjury.
Right. And again, that's not what the legal system, what the criminal justice system is going to be used for, right? In a civil case, somebody goes on, perjures themselves, and then you're going to have a whole trial, just based on a few statements. It's very, very unlikely. So yeah, it's unlikely that she'll be charged. It's even more unlikely that she's going to go to jail. That's not going to happen.
Can Johnny Depp sue Disney for firing him?
You'd have to see what he can. Yes, he can sue them for breach of contract. Now, would it be successful? We'd have to see the contract.
Well, that's assuming they had a contract for Pirate 6, right?
Nick is our employment attorney here, so.
Yeah.
That's not really, that's more
not-
contract law than
Would it be considered
employment.
wrongful, we're asking that.
Yeah, well, he wasn't an employee of Disney, rather he would be a contractor, hypothetically. But yeah, and I don't know the status of their contract for him to do that film at the time this all happened. If they had signed a contract where both parties signed it and there's an amount of money he was going to make for doing the film, and then they yanked it out from under him, that could potentially be breach of contract. Yeah. Now I don't know the facts. I don't know if that happened or not.
Yeah. Well, Disney has actually made claims that they just decided to go in a different creative direction. So they're now casting Margot Robbie as the main character in a Pirates film, which I think is, what are you looking at?
It's interesting.
Yeah, so they're trying to go a different direction. They're trying to cast a female lead. I mean, she's great. I love her, but I don't know if a female pirate lead is going to carry Disney like Johnny Depp did. The reality is that after maybe the second one, most of those movies were complete flops, and he just carried them. Most people went to watch Pirates because of Captain Jack Sparrow, and that's the reality. So
has Disney done anything with Pirates of the Caribbean, the ride at Disneyland?
No,
I know they
Johnny
replaced
Depp still.
him with
He's still
It's
Johnny
under
Depp.
construction. I was just there
Oh,
a
yeah?
month ago. They're
they're
redoing it.
redoing it, but I
Oh.
don't think they're going to take him out.
Yeah.
No.
If they're already putting it under construction and replacing him in the franchise, wouldn't
No,
it make
it's
sense
not.
to, or no?
It
The
was already-
construction is
and
just
that's-
like
it was
the
for the-
maintenance. It's
for
just
the-
maintenance. It's
for
for the boats.
the
and
water
stuff.
lines
Yeah,
and
it's
the-
not.
yeah,
It's
just-
not Johnny Depp maintenance.
Not the.
Yeah, I don't think they'll take him out of the
Well,
ride.
he's pouring beer in a dog's
Right.
mouth. I love that, right?
Especially because that would be, in my opinion, contradictory to their claim that they simply went in a different creative direction. This had nothing to do with it, right? Because then why would they take him out of a ride?
Someone said, "Wow, shocking! Love what you guys are doing. Keep up the great work."
Thank you. Give us a follow if
She
you don't
def-
already.
She definitely edited her pics of bruises. I thought they did anything from
I
the ride.
thought the strongest evidence to support the claim that she edited those pictures was the photograph where the saturation seemed to be just cranked up on one of them. And so I thought that, again, was very overwhelming evidence that some of these photographs were doctored, because it was she claims it was just a different time frame. One was taken in the morning, one was taken at night, but literally even the flyaways on her hairs were exactly the same. So how does that happen,
Yeah.
I don't know.
So
Someone said, if he is done, we will boycott the movies. I think that Pirates will be completely boycotted if he's replaced.
I
love
think
Margot
look,
Robbie.
I love her too. That's why I prefaced it. I love her. I think she's stunning. She's a great actress. She's hilarious. I mean, she did phenomenally well in the
The ice skating movie.
ice skating movie. I was
Yeah.
like superhero
Tanya
where
Harding.
where she plays the love interest to come on guys, DC.
Wolf of Wall Street.
No, well that one too. She was playing the girl with the bat.
I actually know which one
Harley
you're talking
Quinn.
about.
Harley Quinn.
Oh, yeah.
She was fantastic. So, but I think the Pirates franchise is built around Captain Jack Sparrow. Oh, which speaking of, the psychiatrist that came on to testify on behalf of Amber Heard, again, I don't know if you watched this part, he said
Maybe.
that his testimony about Johnny Depp being abusive and his narcissist was based on his evaluation of what he saw in the Pirates movies.
Oh,
So
I
he
actually did see
So
that
he
clip.
used a drunken pirate
That seems pretty
to
insane.
to make a conclusion about somebody's
Yeah.
narcissistic and abusive
And then
propensities.
when he was cross-examined, he said he just misspoke that whole testimony, right?
Yeah,
he was just like pretending it
that
never
man,
happened.
I don't know who
I
brought him
sounded
on.
crazy, yeah.
I hope that his patients are okay if he in fact has patients, but you know, that completely bonkers testimony. I mean, he didn't even know that Marlon Brando was dead. And
How did Marlon Brando come up there?
so he tried to testify saying that cognitively Johnny Depp was declining because of all the drug and alcohol abuse, because he had to have an earpiece allegedly to be fed his lines. And so the question posed to him was, well, are you aware that Marlon Brando also had an earpiece? And he was like, isn't he dead? So no, he doesn't wear an earpiece.
Jesus, how are they getting so off topic?
And the point is that, look, the jury, as I mentioned, is 12 people. They're our peers. They're not lawyers. They're not experts. They're just regular people. So if you and I are having these reactions, so are they. They're sitting there seeing these people in person. They're watching their testimony. They're observing their body language, and they're picking up on these things that, you know, on things that maybe we even don't pick up on because we have to wait for like the camera angle. So again, I think that's why all of these experts are really, really not doing Amber Heard any service.
There's 7 in this trial, 7 jurors in this one.
Oh, 7.
Yeah.
Well, aren't there 4 alternates?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, total 7?
So,
Oh.
yeah.
Well, I guess it's different then.
In Virginia.
Yeah, in California.
Let's see, are they done for the day? I'm not sure. We're also still watching it live.
It's
I think-
it's a federal trial, right? Not a Virginia state.
I think they are wrapped up for the day, because usually wrap up around 2:00.
Or-
And it's like 5 o'clock there almost.
Yeah.
Hello from France.
Oh,
Hi,
hi. Thanks
friends.
for tuning in. Wow.
Yeah, we saw about 600 people.
Wow.
online.
Give us a follow,
We
guys.
almost had 3,000.
What about
It was one
questions
of the,
about
that
anything
was why
else?
we got excited because we've never had.
Yeah, we
broken
really-
You guys
TV.
had a high of all time.
Yeah, you guys have the highest.
I had more people watching
I
me
can't
than
believe
Dina.
you guys,
Yeah.
What?
I can't believe you guys
Everyone
brought
is-
me onto this.
Everything. Where's the other dude?
Sorry, guys. Sorry to disappoint. The other dude is off doing another gig, but you get me.
Documentary on the trial. He's shooting the.
Yeah, he's actually shooting a documentary on the trial, so stay tuned for
Since
that.
I'm taking y'all don't have any cases or work to do. No, we just force them to be
Yeah,
on
we're
TikTok.
I've got a lot of cases and
Yeah,
work to do,
Nick
but
is-
Two of the hardest
I'm
working
here.
lawyers in Los Angeles right here.
Yes.
We do force them though.
Someone
so.
did ask earlier, why do most employee-employer lawsuits fail? That's a simple question any lawyer should be able to answer.
Why do they fail?
Yeah,
what,
thank you.
do they mean fail? Well,
Yeah.
ours don't
Ours
fail.
don't fail.
Give us a call.
I mean, I think, I
Yeah.
think what you mean is settle instead of go to trial. The reason for that is just both sides are playing very high risk by going to trial. The company stands to lose a lot of money while the employee stands to completely lose it all. So it's just in both parties' best interest to come to an amount of money that isn't super high or zero. Fail, they just, I don't know, they don't fail. So I'm
I
not
don't
really
think
sure what you mean.
that's- And also, trials are really costly, so a lot of people just don't want to. Plaintiffs, by the way, a lot of times they rather try to settle so that the case doesn't drag on for multiple years, and nobody really wants to go to trial. It's the reality. It's not like the movies. I think this is something we talk about all the time.
Yeah.
People in movies, it's like, well, I'll see you in court, but that's not really how it happens.
I think this is the first trial anybody is watching. Like,
Yeah,
at all.
so
We got a hello from South Africa.
yeah,
by the way.
everyone
Oh,
tell
nice.
us, everyone
South
tell us where you
Africa.
guys are watching
And
He
from.
said
back.
you look like a Greek god.
oh, that's nice.
That wasn't when you pointed the camera at me. Yeah.
Go.
And then the trial thing, it's another thing I think a lot of people don't realize is that the statistic is that like 98% of civil cases settle before trial. So only 2% or so actually even go all the way to trial, barely any. That's another statistic of why
Sweden.
it's different between the movies and in real life.
Yeah.
Wow, we got Ireland, Sweden, UK.
Oh my God.
Now, if
Hi,
you want a
everyone.
good lawyer movie recommendation that doesn't have to do with going to trial, Michael Clayton. Did you ever see that with George
Great.
Clooney?
That's
Fantastic.
Masterpiece.
It's great,
Masterpiece. George Clooney.
Haven't seen
Yeah, that one does not have to do with any trials. So if you're interested in that sort of thing, watch Michael Clayton.
The ending is so great.
Well, don't
Someone has
spoil
a
it.
good
Not
question.
spoiling.
There's
He
a good
dies.
question.
Nice.
They said Amber's team has 1 hour left. Does that mean she has 1 hour to do her rebuttal case? Like, what does that mean?
So the judge was very, very clear at the beginning of the case and as to how much time each of the sides have. I think Amber Heard's team, when they started scrambling, as we talked about earlier, they started wasting a ton of time with just the questions, the line of questioning, and like talking about Johnny Depp's like a substance abuse. I mean, he said it himself. Move on. So they wasted a ton of time, and now all they have is just that 1 hour for their rebuttal. So they've just been shooting themselves in the foot, in my opinion, from day one, and this is clear evidence of that. They're out of time.
Someone asked about the TMZ motion. What are your thoughts on how that went down?
Check out our last TikTok.
That's true.
Check out our last TikTok
What are your thoughts?
for Nima's analysis. My analysis that I think he didn't mention is that the employee, again, I'm really bad with names, whatever his name was, Morgan Tremaine, he waived his privilege on his own. And again, there might be a contract issue in terms of whether or not TMZ can go after him. But to my knowledge, he didn't really divulge any names in terms of who their sources are. So I don't know if there's going to be a legal issue there. But he came on voluntarily, and I think that's why that motion was shot down immediately.
Right. Yeah. Just to add, like, the judge basically denied the protective order because it wasn't really theirs to bring. The privilege belonged to the journalist himself, not to TMZ, the company. So the journalist himself had the right to choose to waive that privilege, and TMZ didn't. So that's.
And they were basically
How that
arguing that if they don't, if that order is not granted, then none of the parties have any interest in protecting them, and so they have to come in and protect themselves. And the judge said, "Nah."
So what happens in the counterclaims that Amber countersued for $100 million? Is there gonna be like a whole new trial? Is there new witnesses?
No,
What
so
happens?
that's actually why so many witnesses came on yesterday to testify as to her damages, right? So again, whatever her name was, Arnold and a few others, forensic accountants who came on and claimed that she was on this crazy trajectory. That's why they were there. Is in order for her to win her defamation counterclaim, she has to prove that these statements caused her to lose a ton of opportunities. So Johnny Depp has showed that, right? Because now he's no longer associated with Disney and what was it? Fabulous Beasts, something Beasts. He was
The J.K. Rowling
Fantastic
thing.
Fantastic Beasts. So he showed that, and so she had to show the same. And again, their rebuttal witnesses really tore that testimony apart. So was she successful in proving her damages? I don't think so, because none of those opinions were based on any methodology. They were just conclusions and comparisons made with other significantly
Right.
more popular celebrities and actors that are far out of that league.
And as for what's going to happen with the cross complaints, neither of us are licensed in Virginia. So I'm not totally sure, but I believe there will be a jury instruction in the same jury instructions that are given to the jury on Friday that will also just include questions about those counterclaims. It'll probably be decided at the same time.
Is there any room for appeals in this type of case? French law is way different to France.
Yes, there will be room for appeal. Now, in the United States, appeals can only be brought to address a mistake in like the matter of law. So the matter of how the trial went down procedurally, whether the judge made a mistake like that. They cannot address mistakes as to like facts. So if a jury finds that one fact happened and another didn't, that's not something you can appeal. You can only really appeal a mistake that the judge made that really made an error in the trial procedurally.
So, for example, allowing, the guy from TMZ to testify, that might be a mistake.
Right.
Or like allowing testimony or, any of the videotaped depositions, anything like that is possible grounds for appeal.
Right. Jessica's asking, can the judge override the jury's verdict?
The judge cannot override the jury's determination of liability or no liability, but a judge can decrease an award to either side. So if the jury determines that somebody's liable, a judge can't flip that. But if they give them $1 billion, the judge can be like, whoa, slow
Can they
down,
increase?
less.
Can they increase?
Probably.
Yeah,
I don't think that.
It never happens,
Yeah.
but they can hypothetically, yeah.
Okay, lots of questions. What exactly is jury instructions? Like, what are they told? What is that?
So jury instructions, just simply put, are basically the law so the judge has to explain what the law is, right? Because the jury's been sitting there for 3 weeks now listening to testimony, and they need to know what law to apply those facts in that testimony to. So jury instructions will have the law, the judge will explain it, and then there's going to be a set of questions that the jury will need to answer in order to come to that conclusion.
The jury will basically be handed a piece of paper. The foreman of the jury, so like the leader of the jury, will be handed a piece of paper that, say this is about defamation. So what elements of defamation would be: did Amber Heard lie, yes or no? And they basically just check a box, and then it'll say, did Amber Heard know that she was lying when she lied, yes or no? And then if the jury comes back with 2 checks on the yeses, then that will mean Johnny Depp wins. If there's only 1 yes and 1 no, that means he loses. Or 2 no's, that means he loses.
Cool. So we're nearing an hour, so let's wrap this up. We are going to go live again later today with Mira Amani at 4 p.m.
Awesome.
Pacific time. I guess final thoughts. What were your thoughts about today, and who do you think will win after today?
Wow. This is for the people who are joining, because I've now said this several times. So in my opinion, I've stood very firm on my thoughts on this entire thing. And I don't know what would need to happen between today and Friday for me to change my mind. I think it's very likely that Amber Heard is going to win. Now, is that going to be a financial win for her? Yeah, because she'll win some money. But is she going to get any roles, any endorsements? Very likely not, because the public hates her, And so I think from the very onset, this was a PR move, a fantastic PR move for Johnny Depp. And I think that he has gotten huge support from the public, and he's already won in the court of public opinion weeks ago. And every day, every week, every testimony just reinforces that. So will he win? Probably not. But has he already won in the court of public opinion, and his career going to be okay? I think so. And
now for the this trial itself, I didn't see everything that happened today. I don't know it all, but it sounds like today went very well for Johnny Depp's team. And like we said earlier, it was the claims he's making here are very difficult to prove, and he always had an uphill battle. But it sounded like whatever happened this morning between the Tmz guy and Kate Moss helped him a lot.
Yeah.
Let's clear one thing I want you to address. And everyone's saying, why would you say that? Why would Amber win? How can Amber even win?
So the law is on her side, and this is what I mean. This is a defamation suit. This isn't a domestic violence suit, right? So the claim here is that Amber Heard defamed Johnny Depp, right, with the statements that she made, i.e. the op-ed. So with that said, is all she has to prove. So truth is a complete defense to defamation. So all she has to prove is that he so much as laid a hand on her one time, which means that she did not lie, and therefore she did not defame him. So from a very legal perspective, it's very likely that the jury will find at least one time of violence, and therefore automatically she wins. If they don't, then truth is no longer her defense, and she loses. So that's what I mean by that.
And additionally, the claim of defamation comes with a higher, what's called, burden of proof to meet. All the cases that I have and all the cases Liana has, we only have to prove by a preponderance of the evidence, it's called. Does that mean just like over 50% likely that what we're claiming happened? While the burden of proof for defamation is called clear and convincing evidence standard. So the jury basically has to find clear and convincing evidence that Amber Heard is lying and didn't do any of this stuff. And it's just it's a hard and high level to meet, and it rarely happens.
Cool. Well, thanks everybody for watching.
Thank you for watching. Give us a follow if you want to see us back. If you don't, tune in at 4 p.m. and you can watch Nima Rahmani. He usually does about an hour, and he's great. Obviously, he's very knowledgeable, and he follows this thing from morning to night. So he is a lot more knowledgeable, and so give him a follow. Give us a follow, and tune in at 4 p.m.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Stop. There's a fish.
Okay, Ron has a depo.
Somebody has
Or someone has a downstairs.
That's why we're getting so excited.
So fuck you, and fuck all of you guys who thought that I was